All right. We'll go ahead and get started. Go ahead and call the meeting to order. Henderson City Council, Wednesday, May 19th. There he is, 7 p.m. Before we get to the minutes, just want to take a point of personal privilege. You announced that I'll be resigning and stepping down as mayor June 8th of this year, which will be exactly 10 years to the day that I was originally appointed. So 10 years is good. I'll be stepping down that day. So with that, I'll be looking for a motion on the minutes.
So move.
A motion is second. A motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. We're on to the hearing. We'll go ahead and kind of open it up. Go ahead and open up the hearing on the vacation of North 9th between Oak and Cedar Street. Hearing is now open, which just whoever wants to talk. Okay. Well, raise your hand if you wanted to speak on this matter. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right. And if you change your mind, we can do that. So we'll go ahead and start right there and just kind of work our way this way. So if you wouldn't mind coming on up to this chair when you speak so that the mic can get you, that'd be fantastic.
Have we got anybody on Zoom, Jeff, that are, no? Okay. The reason I'm here tonight is request the vacation of 9th Street west of our lots on section 92 of Cameron's Addition. The Cameron Addition was platted in the 1800s with no consideration to topography. 9th Street has never been used. It's mostly unusable. And our properties are right up on the bluff. It would be very beneficial as a building spot for us if the city vacated it. 9th Street to the north of our lots was vacated by the Henderson City Council, so a beautiful bluff home could be built up there. This is one of 5 examples we have found in Sibley County records where the city council, for the good of the city and more tax revenue, vacated streets. All we were asking for is the same treatment, to have 9th Street vacated to us. In doing so, we have a builder who's very interested up there, and it's going to be a very big house, so it's going to be a lot of good tax revenue for the city if it happens.
Okay. Question for you on just how is that? Are you building there?
No, I own the property up there that Carlos now is owning at the water tower too, and I have this piece too. And when Carlos bought it from me, the market was way down, so I just kept this piece. And now with the market being what it is, I'm trying to sell it.
Okay, so it's unbuildable without this vacation, is what
Not necessarily, no. It's just the house would be fairly small.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Working our way around the room. I believe you were next. Yep.
Okay, I'm Gladys Katasic, and I live right below where the first house would be built, because mine is on the corner. Okay, and I want to know where the road is going to be built for these homes. Is it going to be right above my land or at the crest of the hill? Because there's got to be a road in there, and I want to know who's going to pay for it, and who's going to pay for the culvert, and who's going to maintain it. And how come is it going through this time, more or less, when the last time it was voted down?
You know when it was voted down last?
probably about 10, 13 years ago, 12 years ago, maybe. I don't remember when the meeting was. But we had the same problem then, and that city council voted it down then. And I want to know why they're considering it now again. And I want to know who's going to take care of the snow removal on that hill. Because now nobody does. The city doesn't do it. My neighbors to the left, if they want to plow, they plow it and they pay for it themselves. And I want to know, because all this water that's coming down the hill, I get it all from the top of the hill. And also, when the water tower runs over, which it does occasionally, I get all that water. And I've already got a ditch. I've got one lot. And I've already got a ditch on 4 sides of my house to take care of the water. And why do I have to put up with more water?
Okay. So one question for you then that I have. You asked a bunch of questions, right? Is there any scenario in which there is satisfactory answers to all of those questions that you have that you would support it? So essentially those are rhetorical questions and you're just saying I'm against it, regardless, correct?
Completely.
Okay, thank you.
That's what I want to know. But I want to know why all these different things are coming up all of a sudden now, when the city council voted down the last time.
Okay, so that's not a rhetorical question. You want the answer to that. And the answer to that would be that I think probably the people who were on the city council at that time, none of them are here anymore.
I think Randy Teagues was on the last time.
I'm not sure if I was or not, Gladys,
think
but
you were.
you know, kind of to answer your question, we had another request to have a hearing on it, and
I think you were here.
okay.
And just to back, this is a hearing that people can request to do when they're adjoining property owners. So right now it's at the same level that it was 10 or 12 years ago when Quentin requested it last time. It's exactly, the property owners can continue to request it, and that's why the hearing is being held, so that the information can get brought out and the city council can decide what to do. So ultimately tonight, the city council will vote whether to vacate the street or not, but it's different than a regular city council motion. It takes 4 votes, normally 3 votes pass, a majority passes. A street vacation takes 4 votes to pass. So that's what they'll decide after they take their testimony.
Well, when I built my home, the city council made me put my own culvert in, and I have to maintain it myself. They have nothing, the city has nothing to do with my ditch or anything.
This isn't a building permit application. So right now, there's no plan for a building permit to review. This is for vacating that street to basically give Gamax 35 more feet of it, give Franco's 5 more feet of it, and I think even probably 35 more feet somewhere back by lot 1 or whatever. I've never walked back that far. So basically that's what it would happen if they approve it. And then after that, whether that gets approved or not, that doesn't preclude anybody from asking for a building permit to do anything. And when anybody submits a building permit for vacant land, they have to submit a plat or a plan with it. How are you going to get road access? How are you going to get water? How are you going to get sewer? How are you going to get what you're going to do with storm drainage? All of those. But at this point, that's not there yet. This is a request to take 9th Street and vacate it and give 35 feet to the very
Okay, thank you. All right, where were we?
Thank you,
You were
Gladys.
next? Yeah. All right, come on up. Oh, no, I didn't. Steve is a girthy fella. Yeah. Step down. No. Absolutely.
I'm Scott Katasik, and I'm concerned about that closing the street, because once that's vacated, the city has no place for water or sewer going up and down. For one thing. And then if we gotta take care of the water problem, who's gonna be liable for it down the road?
Okay, no, again, can I ask the same question I asked her?
Yep,
Regardless of the answers to those, are they rhetorical in nature in that you're against it no matter what? Or is there a scenario in which if all of these things and questions were satisfied, that you would somehow find a way to be okay with it?
well, I don't know if I would or not, until I seen what the end plan was.
Okay, so, okay,
Because I'm worried we're gonna get more water all the time. You're gonna wanna put curb and gutter in it if they do open that street up. And how, she can't afford it because she's on a fixed income. She can't afford more taxes up there. And that's what it all lays on. You're gonna, anybody, I've lived up there since 65, I lived up there. For I don't know how many years I lived there. And it's a road that should stay there in case you ever have to put a water line down or sewer lines down to go to the west more.
I think he's confused about what street we're talking about. We're talking about what the run.
okay, I'm gonna hold you off right there.
Yeah.
Don't say that, that's not okay. Just stop,
Yeah.
thank you.
I'm just
Go ahead.
saying.
No, I understand what you're saying. Go ahead.
We're going to the east and west, right? The road starts at the bottom of the hill, all the way up, right?
No, north and south.
Which road are you gonna, there is no other road up there. Is there?
It's a paper street, yeah, it's not a road.
So you're gonna go through them old gravel pits?
Paul recommended me already. It's not a road, or this isn't a building for project proposal. It would be to take a 70-foot wide street and give 35 feet, 35 by 400 feet to Kamak, and 35 by 100 to you probably, and 35 by 300 to you. Is that fair? I have no idea where you guys. Close. Yeah. It's, you know. So, but that.
Yep. What happens though, if the city wants to put sewer and water up there? Once that road's gone, it's gone. Do they have to buy it back from the people they're giving it to?
Oak Street wouldn't be going anywhere. Oak Street's there.
Okay, so you're gonna keep everything above,
This would be, where Oak Street goes up around to 9th Street. There's no road out there, it's just that ravine and whatever.
Yep.
So where Oak Street runs into 9th Street, and where Cedar runs into 9th Street, that 75 feet that goes north and south would no longer be public property, it would be, private property.
well, the city should keep what they've got and not give it away to nobody. Because you can't retrieve it once you give it away. Or am I wrong?
Yeah, that sounds about right, unless you take other measures to acquire it, reacquire it through other means, but yeah.
It's not costing the city nothing now, is it? To have it?
I think Quinn's point is it is costing tax generation that would further lower the burden of the tax across more folks.
Okay.
So it's an opportunity thing. I think is where he was going with a development argument. Yep.
Well, my aunt's on that fixed income. She doesn't have any extra money to pay the taxes. She pays $112,000. That's what her place is evaluated at right now. It's $112,000.
So you're against it on the
I'm
basis
against it
of
because the city should keep it in case they ever have the use for it. And it was voted down once before.
Yep.
Because Randy was there when he voted it down, was one of the council members back then.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, you bet. All right. Hank, where do you now? Come on up.
Okay, let me be clear. I've been in 3 different cities in my life. This is an easement. This is, like they're saying, this is an easement, not a street. There's no way you're gonna put a street in an angle on a hill like that. Go anywhere, they don't do it very often. And there's no room between there to do it because of the sewage. It's for you guys to have the capability to get, if there's a giveaway and that hill, like say my land slips down the hill, that is there to help prevent somebody backs a house up to that from being pushed into the next house and next house. You had that with that gentleman at the end, just outside the city, who got pushed off his foundation. These things are not as stable. I've got a permission to build a garage on my site now. And I asked the expert in the state about bluffs on rivers, and it's the side facing the river, not facing away unless it can come this way and then go at the river. So that's why I was able to build a little closer, but it's 20 feet. The city, the county came in at a 50-foot thing. They wanted it 50 feet back, and that ixnayed like 15 or 20 different building permits that have been given. So your building person went there and requested that they go back to the 20, do the research. I don't know if that ever got finished as far as I know, and they went back to the 20 and they've never changed it. But that easement is for, if it gives away, then you guys can come in there and build something to prevent more erosion and stuff like that. If they want to build, if you look at that site, which I went and looked at it, if you have to be 20 feet from the edge of the property, you give them that, what is it, 40 feet or 30 feet? It looks like it's about 30 feet. If you give them that, that would give them to the edge of the bluff, 20 feet, and then 20 feet from the edge, you're talking maybe 20, maybe 25 feet to build up on top. I would build it down in the lower section and build a gazebo up there. It would be gorgeous. But that's me, but I'm against it in the fact that I don't need the land. I would rather buy his property and protect it than give it to building a house in there. But it's his property, I'm libertarian. But I don't need the property, I'm against it. And the fact that I think that's an easement. It goes all the way along my property and all the way along the back side of my property, all the way down the next ravine over. And I respect that, you know, because that's where to me, it's not a street, it's an easement for the water flow. So I would say we leave it as an easement in case there's a problem with the hill. And we've already had a problem here on the hill. And if you go further down, as I've been down, I've ride motorcycles all along here, and I know where it slipped away, where the bluff slipped away. And that needs to be protected, and the trees need to stay. And that's why I will not cut any of the trees on my property, because that's what's keeping the bluff stable and not affecting down below. And my biggest concern is not to do anything that would affect below me, you know? And then I was gonna try to tie in my septic system with my old septic system, which is a drain, which if I ever have to change, I will. But I put in a septic tank so that I don't have that problem. So there's no drainage anymore, no drainage going down the hill. Because I could see that is a problem for people who live at the bottom of the hill, you know? So I'm against it. That's what I was gonna say. So leave it as an easement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Because it's not a street.
All right, you're up next.
I guess, first off, I'd like to say I'm not against anybody building. I'm not trying to prevent anybody from building on their property. I would just like to keep 9th Street kind of as a buffer, so it's not so close to our property line, you know, building. I guess that's really it. I'm against the vacating of 9th Street. So,
Okay.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
thank you.
All right, thank you. Now we close this thing before we discuss. Oh, come on up, absolutely.
I'm gonna say I'm against this also, because I've seen what's happened when we get heavy rains. And by vacating that street and allowing more room for them to build, you don't know what kind of building they're looking at going. There's no consideration for the people down below. And I think that's what you need to look at. By vacating that you gotta think about the people that live at the bottom of the hill. They're the ones that are gonna have to face the problems when you have erosion. And like Gladys, I've seen the water come down from on top. And if you put a house up there, and also to the north, that ravine, that water is coming from the fields above, that's gonna erode even more. So I'm completely against this for my neighbors. I'm across the street. Maybe it might not affect me, but I know for my neighbors, you know, they're more vulnerable to this. But when we had that big rain, what, 8-10 years ago, the water came down. I mean, it washed through our property, washed out a big area, and where Jerry Durr lives, their garden was completely wiped out with sediment. And there was nothing up on top. You build something up there, that water's gotta go someplace. And I think that's what you gotta consider. If you vacate this, you're opening up a can of worms I don't think the city will be able to handle.
That's all I'm gonna say. Thank you.
Yep.
So you need 4 votes for it to vacate a street, right?
Come on, come on.
Well, just before he comes up, I think we could end this real quick because I'm gonna vote no against it, so.
Well, that's wonderful, but I'm not gonna stifle anyone's voice, so
Well,
thank you.
I just want to say I'm against it too. I live below the hill and I think you're opening a can of worms if you don't want to mess with. You create problems for me, somebody's gonna answer to it. That's pretty much all I'm saying. Leave it as it is.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, all right, we'll go ahead and close the hearing and put up our discussion. So go ahead, Steve.
I'm against it. I'm voting no. That's all I got to say.
Okay.
And I would just reiterate what Steve said. I oppose closing or vacating any street in town.
Okay, all right.
I too oppose.
I'm concerned with the water issues, and I feel like more information would have to be pursued before a lot of those issues were taken care of, so I'm opposed as well.
Okay.
And I do appreciate all you guys coming to speak about it.
Yes.
All right. You know, I guess my 2 cents on it is, you know, I'm a big fan of development and investing in our community. And then when there's a compelling need to vacate, I think we should consider it. And there's no one situation that's like the other when it comes to these kinds of things. But I also, at the end of the day, didn't hear a compelling need or plan to address the neighborhood concerns. We just went through this on the street down below. When the neighbors and such are not heard, and a appropriate plan does not mitigate their concerns, you're going to run into opposition, which is, I think, what we saw here tonight and certainly saw last month as well. So I'll go ahead and look for a motion. Got a motion, you get a second.
Second.
Got a motion, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right. All right, Sauerkraut Days Committee. Come on up.
Connie Rao with the Henderson Sauerkraut Committee, and we've struggled the last few weeks wondering to move forward with our celebration. We have decided because of, I'll just wait. We decided because of all the other communities around our area are moving forward with their sauerkraut or with their celebrations. We've been working on moving forward. We believe that there will be no restrictions in late June.
Just a minute, Connie, please.
Oh.
Excuse me, Scott, Gladys, we're having a meeting. Can you guys quiet down, please? Thank you. Okay, Connie.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
we believe that there will be no restrictions for outdoor venues. If something changes by that time, by the end of June, we will follow any of the state guidelines, any of the state recommendations. So at this point, we're moving forward. And I'm here tonight to ask for a 3-day liquor license for June 25th through the 27th. And our liability insurance and dram shop insurance has been secured.
All right. Any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
The differences that happened here the last couple of years is that the state now has allowed on-sale liquor licenses for these types of celebrations. So in the email I got back today was, because this is a community celebration, you're allowed up to, nobody else has applied, but you are allowed up to 12 events per site in a community, and you can keep those. These 3 days, when you pass this, if you designate Sauerkraut Days as a community celebration, that exempts them from that, or from that number. And where I'm going at with there, we haven't had any other applications, but we may have some for roll-in that would, for nonprofits that would want to use those 12 days. So what I would say is you want to classify this. Right now, we've got no fee for this. You have to set a fee, but for this, I would recommend that you designate this as the Henderson Community Celebration, and that there is no fee attached with this application. And that then if somebody else comes in at a later date to ask for 12 individual days, then you still have the opportunity, if you want, to charge a fee for those. So.
Okay, my motion will be to approve it and to designate Henderson Sauerkraut Days as a community celebration and to waive the fee.
All right, got a motion, get a second.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
I abstain.
Excellent, perfect.
And I just have a couple other issues because of the new blacktop. Can we do the mini rods? There's going to be one layer of blacktop. Is that going to affect that at
Chris
all?
can respond back.
We should have let them before you're on there.
Okay,
The good thing is 6 a.m. is just so
you're going to put the other coat on top. So we're good to go on that.
Yep.
Perfect. And then we also, in other years, or in 2019 for sure, just requested some road closures, which would be from on 3rd Street from 19 to Market, and then also from Market up to 4th Street. And that's for safety issues. We have a lot of children down there in the event because of the Little League tournament. So we're just asking for that. We'll, barricade the roads when we need to have them done. So I don't think there was ever a problem beforehand with it.
No, I think that just went ahead. We didn't do formal approval.
Just work with the police department to make it happen.
Yeah, and we also will be submitting an application for closing 19 for the parade. We
Through
do
the
that
state.
through the state, yeah, and we
Okay.
do that every year, so.
Excellent.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank
Thanks.
you.
Thanks,
All right.
Connie.
Tim Needus, no, okay, all right. Audit, come on up. You literally have 3.5 minutes to tell us important things instead of sell your services.
I think every year it gets less and less. I also didn't realize you were gonna be dressed so well, I would have put a suit coat on, so I apologize.
Well, you trimmed your beard, so we appreciate it.
Yes. So I will go through just a high-level summary of the audit. I'm not gonna go through the actual report itself. I'm not gonna get caught into that much detail. So I believe you guys should have the presentation in your council packets. It's gonna be probably about 20 pages. And again, it's gonna be kind of a high level of the audit and just kind of look at some trends and other analysis that we put together. Any questions before I start?
These look like outdated pictures, sir.
What's that?
They're outdated pictures.
You know, I get a lot of grief about that, and it's actually, I think, only 1 or 2 years old. But everybody tells me how much younger I look in my picture. But
all right, well, I've just used 30 seconds.
I know, the clock is ticking quickly. So I'll start from the beginning. I see some new faces around, so just a quick spiel is what we do as auditors. First off, I will preface that this is a draft, so Lana and I will be working on finalizing this over the next couple of weeks here. I don't anticipate any of the numbers will change significantly by any means, but they are tentative. It is not finalized yet. But the financial statement audit, the objective of it is to provide an opinion on the financial statements that they're free from material misstatement. So we only provide reasonable assurance. We can't look at every single transaction that the city enters into. So we use a lot of our judgment, we use sampling to kind of narrow down on what we look at every year. So with that, again, our responsibility is to provide that opinion where the financial statements themselves do lie on city council for acceptance of the audit report. So given that, we do have a clean, unmodified audit opinion during the year, which is what you want. That's what you had in years past. And we also have some other areas that we look at through municipal legal compliance that the state auditor puts out. So there's a couple different objectives of the audit. A lot of people, when they think of audit, think automatically fraud. That's what the auditors do. That's not the case of a financial statement audit. It really is to provide an opinion that the numbers are reasonably stated. So it's important to make that distinguishment. Okay. So with that, we have our audit findings to report. So the first two are the material audit adjustments and the segregation of duties, which are findings that you typically have on an annual basis. The material audit adjustments basically just says that we as auditors, we come in and make adjustments to various account balances to get the financial statements in conformity with generally accepted accounting principles. And the same with the limited segregation of duties, basically with Lon being in the office and being involved in various different aspects. In a perfect control environment, there really would be several people involved in different administrative functions. Obviously, from a cost benefit standpoint, having Lon there, there's just not enough staff to sufficiently segregate those duties. So I know council is involved with check signing and some other controls. It's just important to note that that is in there from a small staff standpoint. Okay. Two other audit findings that we have, we mentioned that the state puts the different compliance guidance out. We do have one compliance finding with the draws on the warrants. So you are allowed to use a short-term financing method for cash flow purposes. There is a limit that the state put out there, which is 3 years, your average of your 3 years of your tax revenues. So the city did draw over that. And that is against the state statute. So again, from a cost benefit standpoint on how you're managing your cash flow purposes, in the past, I believe you used the tax anticipation certificates. With that causes issuance costs and paying interest on that as well. So it's just a different financing method, but it was out of compliance with the statute on that short-term financing. And the last one we have is coronavirus relief fund, which is a general compliance finding since those dollars are from a federal standpoint. So one of the rules that the feds did put out, there's a lot of different changes and guidance during the year. So the upcoming ARPA funds will have a little bit more guidance released. But one of the areas that the coronavirus relief fund disallowed was using revenue replacement for the distributions that were made. And we did note that there was some payments that were made out to different entities that it appeared that they were using it for some revenue replacement. So Lon was working with MMB to get that figured out, and I believe that just got remedied today and getting that reported. So I don't anticipate the city having to pay anything back to the state or the feds. It's just one thing that we have to put in there from what we found and going through some of the CARES Act and the federal dollars that were received related to that. Any questions on that? Lon, do you have anything to add on those? Paul?
No, the lady sent back her email today and said the revised report is fine.
Okay. We'll keep going. Some other general recommendations that we have too that don't really go elevate to a finding by any means is just continue to review updated policies and procedures. I know that this year the capital asset policy was updated. That was one that we recommended. That was implemented. So any accounting procedures that you have, policies, investments, internal control, budgeting, just review those on an annual basis to make sure that they are meeting League of Minnesota City recommendations and other professional recommendations as well. The other recommendation that we have is just the overall financial condition of the city. I know that Lon kind of has a plan looking out in the next 5-10 years on when some of the debt is dropping off, and we'll look at that in a little bit as well. But that's one area that we always recommend is continue to look at where your cash balances are at and where some of your significant capital needs are at over the next 5-10 years. So the city did issue bonds in 2020, did have some cash inflow related to that. You also receive some FEMA revenue that increased some of your fund balances in your general fund as well. So basically at the end of the year, the general fund did have about a break-even year as far as fund balance. I think it ended up being about $2,700. A lot of that was due to the collection of the FEMA dollars and also getting some of your CARES dollars helped as well. And you will be continuing to get FEMA dollars in the future. But we would recommend as auditors anywhere from that 35 to 50% of your budgeted expenditures. And right now the city is right about, like I said, right about that $0 mark in reserves in the general fund. So if you actually go to the general fund balances slide, which is going to be page 9. That's really going to show where the trend in the fund balances have been at over the past 5 years. So what we do is look at your unassigned fund balance, which is basically dollars that are available to spend at the city's discretion for general operating purposes, and compare that to where budgeted expenditures have been at. So overall, the city typically budgets anywhere from $580,000 that has increased over the past few years. It did jump up a little bit in 2020, and then back down to $680,000 in 2021. So as I recommended earlier, you know, have 35 to 50% of your unassigned fund balance in there, which would be right around that 200,000 mark. And right now the city's at 0. But again, it's, you kind of have to look at where some of your costs have been at over the past few years. So that did draw down because of your FEMA dollars that are being collected again now. And I do anticipate that to increase again. And you also have some debt dropping off in the future. So you are below the recommendation and your fund balance policy well, but I do anticipate that to grow a little bit here in 2021, again, with some of the collection of the resources that are outstanding. So if you can see the trend on that fund balance slide, that blue bar is going to be your unassigned fund balance. It was about 52% in 2016 with different projects and different FEMA expenditures that were needed that did go down to about 30% in 2018. It was a deficit in 2019, and then that did get recuperated a little bit again with the collection of some of those FEMA dollars in 2020. Okay. And if we go to the next slide, which is page 10, we'll look at the general fund budget to actual a little bit more in detail in 2020. So what we'll look at is your budgeted amounts compared to your actual amounts and what actually happened during the year. So the third to last line is going to be that net change in fund balances. And the original budget was at 0. So it anticipated a balanced budget. And then it was amended during the year. So after that, I think we anticipated about $100,000 increase with the final budget adjustments. I think a lot of that was due to some of those dollars being transferred to the sewer fund line, if that sounds right.
Water fund.
The water fund, yes, you're right, the water fund. So that did actually get reimbursed from the sewer instead of the general fund. So that was one of the main reasons for the change. But if you look at the actual revenues and the actual expenditures, the revenues were a little bit under budget, about $5,800. A couple different reasons for that. Again, we anticipated about $130,000 in FEMA collections when actually $75,000 was collected. Again, so we do anticipate that being collected once those get closed out. FEMA's not exactly the most timely organization to work with. But in 2021, do you think those will be wrapped up on, or do you think they'll be extended?
Could be no reason not.
So then you're looking at another probably $50,000 being collected and related to some of those outstanding costs. And then, as we mentioned earlier, you did get your coronavirus relief funding. So it's about $70,000 that the city received, of which $65,000 went to the general fund. $20,000 of that was used on different program and furloughs, quarantine costs for staffing. Another $40,000 was used for police payroll and expenditures, which is allowable under the Treasury guidance. And then about $5,000 was used to spend for various PPE and supplies, kind of some of those hard tangible costs that the city incurred directly. So overall, you know, again, we anticipated $755,000 in revenues and actually collected $749,000. So a little bit short, but overall pretty close to what the final budget did call for. On the expenditures as well, so we anticipated $661,000 in budgeted expenditures. Expenditures were a little bit over that by about $25,000. A few different reasons for that. And the majority of that, again, is related to some FEMA expenditures. And then also, again, some of the unanticipated CARES costs related to COVID response as well did cause that to be a little bit over budget. So at the end of the day, comparing everything, the general fund started the year with that $70,000 deficit. The fund balances did increase about $73,000. So at the end of the year, there was $2,100 in available fund balance in the general fund. As I mentioned, we would recommend right around that $200,000 based on your operating expenditures in the general fund. So you are short of that, but did go in the right direction in 2020. Okay. So next slide, I don't have a whole lot to talk about on the general fund revenues by type. Overall, your taxes have been pretty steady year over year, and you did get some additional funding from different intergovernmental resources during 2020 as well. So about 94% of your general fund revenues do come from intergovernmental revenue and taxes. So, one of the unknowns with the state and their budgeting and their expenditures is we don't know what LGA is going to be in the future. So it is important to have those reserves in place if LGA was happen to be cut. Again, I don't know that for sure. There's talks of it, but typically if that does happen, if there are LGA cuts, it is going to come with an increase in tax levy to help balance the budget. Okay. And the same comparison we'll look at on the expenditure side and really drill down on some of the major areas. A lot of these costs are going to be inflationary in nature. So you can see the general government, you read left to right, is going increasing a little bit. Public safety is going to be the main area that has a significant amount of costs. That's going to capture your police, it's going to capture your fire, and then also your any of your FEMA and the majority of your CARES costs as well. So that is kind of the significant budget area where the costs are being distributed in the general fund. And then you have your streets and highways and culture and rec. So in 2019, the general fund did have also some capital expenditures in there. It's kind of those one-time larger expenditures. So that's another reason why that fund balance was in a deficit in 2019. And there wasn't many capital expenditures in 2020. So that helped as well. My recommendation is to always try to utilize capital or revolving funds as much as you can on the to pay for some of your capital expenditures. It just makes budgeting a lot easier, and it helps make the general fund be more of an operating standpoint rather than trying to add some of those one-time large expenditures in there, like you see in that 2019. Okay. The city also has one other fund, which is the Economic Development Fund. So this is really used for different, some small business loans and other economic development activity. I don't have a whole lot to add on there. Outside of that, there's some loan dollars in there that are non-spendable. It's an asset to the city, but it's not collectible in cash until the loans are repaid. So there was a transfer into the EDA fund during the year as well, also from the sewer fund. So that has also been a deficit in years past, although that does have a positive fund balance at the end of the year now too, with the transfer of the cash from the sewer to the EDA fund. Okay. And the other total, or the other governmental funds that you have are your debt service funds. So these are going to be your bonds that are being paid back by taxes and special assessments. So overall, you have about a dozen and a little bit less than that, 10 debt service or 10 bonds that are being paid off by these different revenue sources. So there's about $200,000 cash deficit in these funds, which is maintaining by the permanent revolving debt service fund. And then you also have about $400,000 in special assessments are being collected as well. So as you can see in that bottom chart, in 2021, there's about $350,000 that the city is going to be incurring and paying off debt with those taxes and special assessments. That does drop significantly in 2022. So that's going to free up a significant amount of cash flow to the tune of about $125,000. So that's going to help things as well. It does jump up a little bit in 2023, but then you also have some additional bonds dropping off in 2024 and 2025. So again, I know that so with some of those bond issues and different projects, again, we mentioned that there were some drawdown of those fund balances, but over the next few years, we do anticipate that increasing with the again with that FEMA collection and with some of these bonds dropping off. Okay. Any questions on that? Paul, Lon, anyone else?
I have no questions.
Okay, we'll keep going. So you will also look at your enterprise funds here. There's just a handful. So these are ones that are really not being generated by taxes or intergovernmental. It's really being used by your charges for services for your water and your sewer functions. So what we want to do is look at the top graph and compare the blue bar to the green and the gray. So the blue is going to be your operating receipts, so your cash in, versus your operating disbursements in the gray and your debt payments in green, so your cash out. So what you want to see is the blue exceeding the gray and the green. And the water fund is operating at a little bit of a deficit over the past 4 years. So overall, your cash receipts have been pretty steady in the water fund of about $125,000 a year. But comparing that to your payments that have been going up a little bit, it is operating at a deficit. So you can see the impact of that on your cash balances in that bottom graph. Typically cash in the fund has been around, right around that break-even point or $50,000 in 2019. That did increase in 2020, so there was a bond issue to pay off some of the different projects that the water fund did incur. So the water tower repair project had about $233,000 in costs. There's also about $30,000 in well repairs as well. So it is important to have those reserves in place to make some of those, to have the cash on hand to make those unanticipated repairs if they do come up. I know that water tower project is being paid back over 5 years. I think there's 3 payments left. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ron. But so that was kind of the main reason for the increase in your cash outflows in 2020. So we as auditors would recommend about 50% of your operating costs plus your next year's debt payment to have in cash reserves in your enterprise funds. So we would recommend right around $260,000 in cash in the water fund. And at the end of the year, the water fund had about $100,000 in cash available. Granted, there is an additional $300,000 of cash due to those bond proceeds, but those can only be used for specific projects. So it's really not available for spending for operational purposes. It's really more so for some capital improvements. Okay. The sewer fund, same principle, same concept. You are collecting about that $450,000 a year annually for the sewer fund, so they have a lot more cash collections in sewer. But you also have additional cash disbursements as well. So the main reason for this is your debt payments for your different bonds. You did have some debt being dropped off. It's still in the city's name, but the city of LeSueur is now making payments on it. And that was part of that MRFUC dissolution agreement. So that freed up some cash flow. And you also had a bond issue in that fund as well for the sewer infiltration project that is ongoing. So if you look at that bottom graph, the blue is going to be your cash balances in the sewer fund. So there has been a deficit in this fund as well, although that you did have a nice inflow in cash on that to eliminate some of the deficit based off those different operations that did incur during the year. And you do have unspent bond proceeds of about 1.3 million sitting out there as well to pay off the remaining project of that infiltration project. So there's about $1 million spent to date on that project with about $1 million left to go as of 12/31, and plus also some engineering costs and whatever else in there that is incurred related to that project. So while it does look like the city did have a bunch of cash come in during the year, a lot of that is restricted for specific project costs. And your last fund is your environmental services cash flows. So this operates kind of at a gain actually year over year and doesn't have a significant amount of activity, but you do collect about $30,000 a year in cash receipts, and it does pretty much break even, although it does have a little bit of a gain. So if you look at the bottom, it's a little bit more indicative of how an enterprise fund should operate. Your cash balances have been increasing year over year due to you're generating positive cash flow in that top graph. Questions on that? Lon, do you have anything to add?
The sewer one was 602 and 604 combined.
Correct. Okay. So slide 19, overall, as we mentioned that if we look at the city as a whole, the total cash on hand at year end typically has been under or right around $100,000. That did increase to about 1.7 million at the end of the year. But as we mentioned earlier, the majority of that is due to those restricted bond proceeds on those bond issuances in 2020. So those will be spent down during the year upon completion of those capital projects. Okay. And then lastly, I have just a few slides on some key performance indicators on how you compare tax-wise to some other entities in your area or other cities in your area and throughout the state. So any of the blue lines in these next couple of graphs are going to be the city of Henderson, and what we're going to do is compare to other cities your size. So class 5 cities throughout the state are going to be in green, Those are going to be all cities that are under 2,500 in population. Then we're also going to compare you to other cities in Sibley County, which are going to be the gray bars throughout these next few graphs. So the first one we'll look at is tax rate. And so this is really what the impact is on your taxpayers when you do levy increases and that sort of thing. And so overall, the one thing I like to point out in these graphs, you really can't look at one specific years, is kind of look at the trends on where things are going. So from 17 to 2020, you did have a nice decrease in your tax rate, which basically just means that your market value is increasing faster than the percentage of your tax levy increases. So overall, the city of Henderson did decrease their tax rate from 117% down to 97% in 2020. And if you look at how that compares to other cities throughout the state your size, you're basically right in line, although you're trending downward, which is good compared to those cities. And you're also significantly lower than other cities in Sibley County, which have typically been right around that 140%, again, compared to 97% for the city of Henderson. So again, that is really the direct impact on the taxpayers when there are any tax rate changes. Okay. I don't have a whole lot to add on slides 21.
The only thing I will say about that is, I don't know, maybe Randy remembers the numbers, but 8 or 10 years ago, that wasn't close to that. I mean, the percents. If the class 5 cities were going to be 103%, we were probably 200% probably. And Sibley County cities, we weren't anywhere near below. I mean, we were the only one that was higher was Green Ave. And that's part of, you know, while, and I think everybody here knows that, but we're way close to the best on our fund balance, but it's been concentrated over the last 6 to 8 years to keep that bar where it's at. It's just a matter of
right.
how you balance that.
Correct. In the last couple, there's more so just for informational. We did touch on a lot of that earlier compared to your current and some of your capital improvements that you've made. So I don't have anything else to add on those. And the last one I have is my contact information. I will take any questions if you have anything at this time.
Anyone have any questions for him?
Lon, anything else to add?
Do you need to just approve? Is that what you want, or?
I would just wait till the next meeting until it's finalized. Again, I don't anticipate any changes. If there is anything major, I will let Lon know on what to present, but I don't think there will be.
You would just submit the final report. You don't plan on coming back.
Correct.
All right, there are no questions. Thank you.
Yep. Again, my contact information is there. I will be happy to answer anything if there's anything.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
All right, SEH final design, levy modification, Highway 93 closure. Come on up.
Hello, I'm Rachel Pickelman with SEH. It's been a while since I've been here, but just a little background. I've been working on projects within Henderson and adjoining Henderson for MnDOT for several years now. I worked on a feasibility study for back in 2017 when we were looking at which highway to raise, whether it's County Road 6, Highway 19, or Highway 93. And then we were selected by MnDOT to do the preliminary design for the Highway 93 grade raise. We're kind of finishing that work right now. And this scope of services is certainly related to that. So the grade raise on 93 will require the south levee closure at 93 to be modified. And last year, SCH prepared I think we called it a feasibility study, but basically kind of an initial look at what would that levee closure modification look like. When we started that study, we didn't know whether or not the levee needed to actually be realigned or if it could stay where it was at. And through the preliminary design of the highway work, we've confirmed that the levee can stay where it is, the closure can stay where it is, but it of course needs to be modified with the road raise that's proposed. So this scope of services covers the final design of the closure modification, and it also includes services for coordinating with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Because levee was built as part of a federal project, we have to get a special permit through the Army Corps. It's a Section 408 permit, and basically they review all of our design, make sure that everything that we're proposing aligns with the intent of the federal project when the levee was first constructed. And so that takes quite a bit of coordination, and we need to provide a lot of documentation to them. So anyway, that's what's included in the scope of services, and if there's any questions.
Is there any questions?
And maybe we should give a little bit of background. This is part of the flood mitigation project, and it would be funded. You see the numbers on here. This would be funded through the $1.8 million GEO bond that was issued to Henderson for its share of that levee modification. So we don't have anything from MnDOT or an agreement yet, but we're supposed to. You need to go? You need to go, or?
Yeah, not here. They didn't go up anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, keep going.
Okay. So we got $1.8 million funded there. We can't spend any of it until we put an agreement together with MnDOT. Matt Young from MnDOT called me this morning, indicated they're not far enough along yet to decide when that's going to happen. But when it is, then we would.
Keep going.
Okay. When it is,
There was a tornado warning one of the last times I was at one of these council meetings, so I think this is my fault.
okay, I'll try again. We've got. Sirens are going.
He'll let us know. Keep going.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, but we need to bring our piece to the table, is what Lon is saying. So this is us prepping the levy plan so that when MnDOT's ready, we're shaking hands at the same time and not delaying the project. And the cost for it's going to be covered by the 1.8 million, and we're getting from the bonding anyway.
All these fees on page 3, where it says the estimated fees 1 through 6, that's what we're approving tonight?
You're right. That's the scope of service, correct?
Okay.
Yep. Yep. And this is, I mean, other communities might wait for MnDOT, but we're just trying to make sure that we are not a delay in the process.
Well, and I should mention too, there's some efficiencies. So we are still going to be involved in the final design of the Highway 93 project. We teamed with Bolton and Mink and were selected by MnDOT to do the final design there. So we have a lot of, knowledge and close coordination there to help make this, more efficient as well.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, I'll be looking for a motion.
I make a motion to approve?
Got a motion, get a second.
I'll second.
The motion second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Thank you very much. She's gonna just chill by the
No, I
piano.
I'd rather see where there is a basement, actually.
it was, the right-of-way ordinance and the codification ordinances were introduced last night, or last meeting. Hopefully you just would go ahead and reintroduce them. I don't plan on reading them or doing whatever. They're all here. I don't know if, unless Allison's got some additional comments. I saw Beth did a story in the newspaper today about the potential changes. I don't think there's anybody here, or I have not received any comments about changing anything, so.
All right,
If,
so
if
we're
you're
looking
ready
for
to
a motion
approve them,
approve and waive the second reading.
well, you are having a second reading.
This is the second reading.
Yeah.
The waive, but the actual.
Yeah,
physical
we're not,
reading.
yeah.
Yeah, we're waiving the actual physical reading.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So, all right, I'll be looking for a motion right now. Got a motion, get a second?
Second.
Got a motion, second, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, same
Aye.
sign. All right, do we need to do a motion for each one?
No, we're good.
Okay, all right. Police chief is probably busy. SCH, come on up for your money. Well, you're going nowhere, so, no, that's fine. Cool.
What I have for you today is pay application number 7 for GM contracting on the 2020 sanitary sewer improvements project. This pay application is in the amount of $222,657.50. This takes us through pretty much all the utility work, most of the base work on the streets, and a portion of the concrete work. So really all that's remaining at this point is going to be the last of the concrete work, the blacktop, seating, and some minor grading stuff.
All right, any questions for Chris?
The only question I have on Third Street South with the tree has not been addressed. And it's already used for.
Okay.
The roots are, and I guess the tree is already out.
Okay, so it was hollow to start with the next event.
It was hollow to start with,
Okay.
for sure.
Okay.
yes. But because the roots, I mean, you can, and they've kind of been scraped it off.
Okay.
So now, I mean, it's clearly, I was just down there tonight.
Okay.
And the residents down there said that was the only thing that hadn't been addressed.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I had was directed that the tree needs to go. And
I think we
that's the
talked
case.
about that, you were there, I was down there, maybe Randy and I on that Sunday. About that tree. Not that day, yeah.
And the residents are okay with the tree being removed?
They're for it.
Okay.
because It's gonna fall on
Somebody's property.
3 to 4 properties, 'cause it's very large.
Okay.
It's the big one.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, they talked about wanting it down because they're going to have to cover the costs if we don't do it. So.
Well, we
And
didn't
it,
damage the roads.
correct. You're right, but like, yeah, it didn't just start hollowing now. But it does need to be addressed. I agree. And this is the time to absolutely do it, for sure.
So the question I would have is then, it's a very large tree. The contractor didn't bid to take out a 40-inch tree at $300 a piece, you can understand that. So if it's under the contract, I'd expect them to want additional reimbursement for that. So the contractor we have would hire a subcontractor to take it out. It might be more efficient for the city to hire somebody to take the trees down. I just want to throw that out there because.
Would it be better if we just, might be cheaper to hire somebody, or?
Probably be a few $1,000.
Yeah, GM takes it out with the backhoe, and we don't want to take it out with the backhoe when it's that close to a house. So it needs to be taken from the town now.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be looking for a motion if you guys want to take it out. But it'd be better, yeah, cost-wise, it'd be cheaper for us to figure it out.
Yeah.
Than to pay him to tell someone to pay someone else to. Yeah, for sure.
So you want a motion to remove the tree?
That's what you guys want to do, for sure. Mhm.
Well, I would make a motion to remove the tree.
I guess if it's a hazard, it should be gone, unless the tornado takes it yet tonight.
All right, you got a motion, you got a second?
Is it in a boulevard? So it's city's responsibility, not a property owner's?
Is it in the boulevard?
It's in the city right away.
It's in the right of way.
Oh, okay, I just want to make sure.
Right away goes right up to the houses.
Okay. Not in a while. I have been going down.
Yeah, and I would say probably the only caution, I agree, it's a future hazard for sure, is paying for a hollowing out tree, even before the roots, is setting precedent there. yourself as a body of taking care of trees within the right of way. Just so you're cautious about that, at least accept that. So, that concept or precedent possibly. So.
If it currently is alive, whether or not it's alive, I don't know, that's what the resident said, but what the resident goes is not.
Okay.
I don't know the wrong questions, you know, why is it permitted when it gets up?
Yep.
Until April 5.
Okay.
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 Thank you. You're up here pretty quick. Are you gonna? Okay, sounds good. All right, thank you. All right, I got a motion. Any more discussion? Chris, what do you estimate that? I said a few thousand. I'm just ballparking it, but
Probably about right. I mean, most times we do trees, we're taking on multiple trees and maybe the cost comes down a little bit. So the only advantage of doing it with the project right now is that you don't have a new street below it, a freshly paved street below it that could get damaged if it goes down. So
right.
I don't think it's a sense of imminent, it's going to fall tomorrow kind of thing, personally.
So it should be taken down before the pavement happens.
For the final pavement, probably
Okay.
best just make sure 2 months maybe.
Okay.
I know that the dirt is shut down on the street.
all right. Got a motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
All right, got a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, same sign. All right. Thank you. All right. Chief, you're up.
So,
Go to LeSueur,
By Leesor.
your house. Better get over there quick. All right. Go ahead.
All right, so police department between April 21st and May 18th, police department handled 119 calls for service, 1 citation issued for unlawful smoking. Department completed 5 criminal investigations and 1 child protection investigation, 1 traffic citation issued. Currently enforcing nuisance ordinances. Jason was out there the other day and basically met with a lot of people outside. It was a nice weather and kind of, was while he was taking pictures, advised folks of what they need to do to clean their places. The breakdown is as such: domestic 2 threats, 1 harassment stalking investigation, child protection 1, 2 juvenile related calls, 1 scam, 1 traffic accident, 3 suspicious activity, 14 traffic stops, 6 driving complaints followed by direct traffic enforcement. We got 3 animal complaints, 7 assists to other agencies, 1 civil matter, 67 community police and direct patrol, 6 public assist welfare checks, 3 calls pending. We didn't hire anybody new. Training, everybody's up to date. We're gonna be conducting another firearms training this weekend. Equipment, we have 26,336 miles on the main unit. Next oil change due in over 3,000 miles. The older units got 587 miles. For that pay period, I mean, not pay period, but for this period of from April to May 18th, I was doing this report, we got approximately $561 in expenses, and 89 that's for ammunition for the firearms qualification and some uniforms and equipment for new police officers that were still arriving. We're all current on our post BCA requirements, and that's about it. Last meeting, there was some sort of there was concern expressed as far as people burning garbage, but nobody could actually give me names. I found out one person that somebody reported me was burning garbage. He was already talked to about it, and Councilman Teagues indicated there were some 911 calls. I checked. There was only one call of unattended fire. I actually went to this call. I was training Officer Leonard's, and the guy was already kind of like burning. It wasn't a garbage fire. He was burning some kind of branches, small branches or whatever, and he was putting out dumping water on it. It was on April 2nd. Around 7:40, that's when the call came out, and we were there. The call was assigned at 7:43, and we were there 3 minutes later. It looks like 7:46 hours. So it's and as I said, this wasn't a garbage related. And the guy was putting actually things out, the fire out, just burning some debris, I guess, from his yard. Anybody have any questions?
Just make sure that we're, some of these places with their landfills get checked on so they clean up some of that stuff though. I don't see.
I'm sorry, check what?
What some of these people that are using their yards as landfills.
Oh, no. We, as I said, that's what we're doing right now. As I said, Jason already went around town. I went around town with him and kind of, looked at certain places, and he told me that he went and talked to people. Most of the people were actually outside doing some kind of work. The way the process works for the new council members, we go around town, we take pictures of those violations that we have, whether it's overgrown grass or some kind of debris or junk cars or something like that. And we send letters to the owners, give them some time to correct the issue. If they need a little bit more time, they'll contact us and say, well, we need a little bit longer. That's fine, but after that, if people don't correct, then we issue violations. So, but I usually give a reasonable amount of time. It depends on how big the violation is. I mean, I give you example. One of the guys has some vehicles that he need to, larger vehicles that he need to remove, and it takes him a little bit longer time because he needs to actually take them apart, things like that. So we extended a little bit, but usually it's 10 days, 10 days, 2 weeks, depending on nature. So. I'm sorry, what? Right now, he just kind of, I don't think Jason sent the letters yet. He just took pictures. It was, when did he talk to me? Yesterday, the day before yesterday. They asked him, he either sent the letters or he's in the process of just kind of like taking pictures and everything else. But he did go to all their, residences. And as I said, he talked to most of the people he said were outside that had violations. So he advised them. I can get back with you right now. He's in the office, so I can ask him whether he will actually send the letters or he just kind of in the process of doing that. But he already went throughout town and took pictures of all the violations.
So by next meeting, we should see progress.
Well, I hope so. Yeah. Well, as I said, if anybody has specific concerns, just call us and we'll see if we, already addressed that issue. If we haven't addressed that, we'll go and address that issue. So if you think there's any particular property, yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, this isn't that big of a city. I mean, we drove all over the city, and But if you think we missed something or you have a particular concern, it's better to advise us. So that way we'll say, oh, we already looked at it. We're not, we'll go out there and we'll check it out again. Okay, so that would be the way to go.
Any other questions for the chief? All right, thank you very much. All right, city attorney. All right, sounds good. City administrator.
I'll go back a little bit to Chris's report first. Randy and Steve met with that group, and there is a summary in here. I don't know if anybody's got any questions. If somebody's got any questions about how that ended up getting solved down there.
I just got a text message from one of the, Mike, she says, whatever they did down there, water must still be running across the driveway.
Is it raining hard now?
Must be.
Probably a good time to check then, maybe, Chris. Oh, okay.
What's that?
Well, when there's heavy rain, there's water running everywhere in Henderson.
Right.
I mean, yeah, we get it in our yard too. Okay, continue, please.
But it's not done down there anyway, is it?
So, yeah, I guess if anybody's got any questions here on that. Okay, then. And like Wayne was talking about FEMA stuff, we still got 125K outstanding, so hopefully that'll get resolved, so we can get that fund balance taken care of. Sign things, hopefully we'll get those all, the remaining ones up. Bruce will be able to work the Lions Club to get those street signs up here in the next month. Blacktop stuff, the only thing I had a question or a note on there was whatever Tim might have been proposing, but he's not here, so I guess there's nothing really we got going on there. And sounds like based on meetings with Chris, WW will probably be in here the first week in June. So when they get in here, we'll figure out if we got some other projects we have to deal with them. Bruce is working with the contractor up at the compost group, and he's going to have that resolved by June. Snow removal, nothing going on there. Allison's Park. We plan on opening up for camping Friday, and we've got some reservations in there. We're doing. Yes. Okay, Steve just got one, and Chris got a text too. I don't know. Okay, all right. Okay, you want Chris to come down there, or? Okay. Okay. But do you think it's past here then? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Goodbye. Probably should go down on 3rd Street. So I don't know how much it's raining, but it must be raining quite a bit. You better go look at it. Yeah, well, that was Randy. Hopefully we can have an equipment committee meeting here, and we can have a building committee meeting. Ordinance codification we did. McGuire Art will be here later. Hawkins Chemical we talked about. Danny's got something going on library. I haven't heard anything when he's going to do it yet. The COVID amount, I think I talked about that at a different meeting. Should be getting about $92,000, and we find out definitely when we're going to get it here in the next week or so. And we'll have until 2006 to spend that. There's some stuff in here as to what you can spend it on, but we can get specific on that at a future meeting. I've got my personal agreement in here under the personnel committee report. With the roll-in starting up, one question for, right now, I don't have a straight out policy for how this space out in front here should be or can be used. I wonder if I should start a permitting process to see who's gonna come out of here or not. I did get a request from both the MnDOT people and the Sibley County people are hoping to set up like a booth here every week during the roll-in. And we will put it out front here to explain what's going on with those two projects. And I know when people, right now, we don't have a specific plan as to who's out there. At one point, Josh Reynolds was supposed to be running this farmer's market. Well, he's kind of faded out of there and people have just come and done whatever. So I don't know if we should just leave them haphazardly keep doing that. Because they really aren't under the control of the rolling group either, because they're on our property, or whether I should actually put something together and get some criteria and make them fill out some forms or whatever to be on here. Because one thing we are, with our League of Cities insurance stuff and whatever, we're filling out all these new volunteer forms and and all that kind of stuff. And it kind of seems like we're doing it for other projects, but we're not really following up on anything out here. So what you want me to do something about it? I will. I guess we'll do it.
So farmer's market kind of died.
Well, it's not organized. I mean, I'm not saying that I kick anybody out. I'm just
okay.
saying, Josh used to come in, or Jeff used to come in with a plan as to where all this stuff is gonna be.
Gotcha.
They're not doing that.
Okay.
Right now, it's kind of freelance out here. Whoever's gonna show up, they're not gonna be on a roll. So.
Okay.
But like years past, we could do that. We would manage that, we would keep it agricultural. Other vendors that would just be food and substances out here.
I think that's cool. That'd be
Except
fine.
allowing MnDOT and
Right,
the
but
county to be out.
as long as they submit the plan, if you're accepted. But,
And then if there's information, things like, and Civic County wants to.
but yeah, so that would be different than Josh submitting it to the roll.
No, that's fine. What do you guys think?
I've submitted that the last 3 or 4 years.
All right.
Presentation. And the checklist, and we'll start those hopefully next week as Bruce starts coming back. And so then I got those on here. Question on public spaces for here in the library. Do we want to start? We want to open them starting now, or?
I think so.
I think now with the mask mandate being lifted and stuff, I'm fine with opening things up.
We should do a motion then.
All right, can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion to open public buildings and spaces back up.
All right, got a motion, get a second. Get a motion, second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All same sign.
So then with that, the request from Sibley County, I'll let them know that they can have the spot here from July 15th or 13th to the 15th to do their public meeting presentation. So they'll actually have the Highway 9, the County Route 6 public meeting in here then on the 13th to the 15th.
Okay.
And yeah, if somebody's interested, I did put some slides in here yesterday with their presentation on how to use what you can do with COVID-19 or I guess it's whatever they're calling non-exclusive eligible uses for economic stimulus funds. We'll have plenty of uses to spend things on. So yeah, I'm done for.
Okay. Yeah, it rained a lot down outside. All right. Utility, anything on that? Okay, Park? You guys meet us last month?
Yeah, we just met tonight.
Okay. All right. Hey, on the park, you brought up Josh Ryan. So does that mean the mosaic garbage cans thing is totally dead?
I think somebody else said that. Bruce said that he talked to Josh on Monday or Tuesday.
And that's totally dead?
Yeah, he might have brought those 3 garbage cans out already. I don't know.
Okay.
So that's not gonna
The
happen.
one,
Bring it on the garbage can.
With mosaics on them? Oh, just they're giving them
Oh.
back? Okay, all right. Heritage Preservation?
What did you ask, Steve? No, there is no mosaics on them. We don't know where any of that stuff went.
I have a question about mosaics. If we can find them, would it be permissible to use them in other fashion besides arch?
Oh, they were supposed to be done straight on the.
No, I'm aware of those.
Oh, okay.
But there was a grant for that, wasn't there?
That's in the city though, I mean.
No, it was a small.
It was an,
I mean, if they still exist, I never wanted to put on garbage in the first place, but, somebody suggested the other day, it was really cool to make some planters that we put on Main Street that could have the mosaic on like one side.
But I guess my question is, if we got grant money, regardless how much it is, where is it?
Well, I have an idea, I will figure it out.
Okay. All right,
The grant money didn't come to the city.
No.
It
no,
Right.
that's all,
came to a nonprofit. So really, you don't have to ask the city for permission as to what to do with the mosaics because the mosaics aren't.
they were our garbage cans, but now it's not, so we're out of it there. So. All right, any on the Heritage Preservation?
yep, they met tonight. Just kind of reviewed things from the past. And then one thing that they are working on is the pump house building, which is that city building down on the corner there by the fire department. Just trying to come up with options on what to do with the building. So that was under discussion. And then also looking for a building to locally designate for the year. The state requires us to locally designate one building per year. So we're looking for a building that we can do that for.
2 questions on that. Is Steve still on track to finish that pump house, and the roof and all that?
No, we're done with that. It's done.
He's done as much as he's going to.
Oh, so,
We're done with that.
and
So-
were there any initial recommendations on something to designate this year?
Not yet, but we have a couple ideas. So one is the Brown Museum and one is Allenson's Park. So we have to check with the state on the
What was
criteria.
the first one?
Allen or Brown, the cemetery.
Oh, okay.
We have to, there's different criteria when you do those types of things, parks and cemeteries rather than a building. So we need to find out what that criteria is and what the options are.
Okay. All right, cool. All right, Fire Commission.
We met on Monday, there wasn't, a whole lot to report. They got the ones in the truck fixed, speed. And they reported on the.
Okay.
There was no new business, no members.
Okay. All right, personnel, we did meet a little while back. Lon has brought forth an agreement. The Personnel Committee is recommending approval of this agreement. Basically, it brings Lon essentially through to retirement, frankly, and about 40 years of service for Henderson. So you've seen it, hopefully either via email or in this copy here. And so there's just a slight change there in terms of as he's transitioning his medical insurance and those kinds of things. None of it is going to cost the city additional as he works through the last 18 months or so. So our recommendation is to approve it. Is there any questions on it?
I didn't think you were full time.
Oh, yeah.
For 38 years, yeah.
Yeah, I just thought last year, before.
Nope.
And the dates that I'm talking about here, based on what I'm finding out, with the 93 stuff, and when I talked to Randy about was, this would- with 19, we'll probably start in 22, County 6, 23, and this other project 23. So I think I could probably do a pretty decent job with getting that going and started, and that's about when I would tie out. And then that would tie, getting this set up would allow then to figure out a way as to how we're going to transition out or do some other staffing or whatever.
Are you gonna volunteer for the city?
He does mouth
I don't know,
fall open.
depends on what my relatives I'll see how many more relatives I find that I gotta help out. Steve will always keep me on the track with that.
Right.
Well, I guess I'd like to do the motion.
All right, got a motion. All right, can I get a second?
Second.
Motion second, all those in favor say aye.
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 All same side. All right. Be looking for a motion.
Thank you very much, but the thing, we don't have to do it tonight, but the things I would say is that I'll start now meeting with staff, kind of now knowing that everybody, I didn't, honestly, the first 3 months, 4 months, I had no idea whether I was gonna stick around till today or however long. I mean, and that was part of the reason when we were transitioning staff early in the year, didn't really know what to say or how to do anything and even figure out where we're gonna go, you know, so I'm, you know, well, and we'll see now after Paul moves on and we get a new personnel committee and sit down and additional and see who the new mayor ends up having on there, so that we can kind of lay out a plan as to how our employees are going to work and, you know, and do whatever. So I do what I'm envisioning for how these checklists to work is that we actually use them and they turn into capital outlay and uses of staff and uses of whatever, and they end up supplementing our comprehensive plan and what our overall community goals and plans are. So hopefully we can put some, we'll get out of what we put in, but hopefully we can put some good time into it and get something good out of it.
All right, we look for a motion on the month-end balance.
All right, now we go.
What's that?
The month end, we go. The end of the month. You approve the end of the month?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, that's, yeah, that's right here.
I'll make the motion to approve.
All right, got a motion here in a second. Motion second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, catch balances for informational purposes. I'll be looking for a motion on the bills.
So moved.
I got a motion, can I get a second?
Second.
Motion second, all those in favor say aye. Oh.
Oh.
Override and Sons, emergency vacator service. Now, what is that? Emergency vacator service.
There are sewer people that come out, I'm pretty sure with the, yeah, 602. So it's probably supposed to say vacuum service call. That would be on the lift station.
Oh, okay. And then, the town products, what does it mean?
Just building.
Well, that mud is gonna need to share for all 3 months, for sure. I know. And
You telling me you're gonna get me a mop?
oh, no, I'm just saying it hasn't moved, it hasn't, I'm not saying it's not every night, because it's there, it's been there for months.
Okay, I'll talk to you.
I mean, I'm not, I like Tom, but I just question what he's doing for this. You know,
see that it's weekly in the office, and whatever, it all seems like, most, he's done stuff in there, I don't check for dusting all over how much everything is. Yeah.
Somebody that's been in this room for a year, nobody has cleaned it since the pandemic. That's, nobody.
Yeah, it was just staying out of here.
So if he's only been cleaning the offices and the
I
bathroom.
don't go in here, the police might come through to go to the bathroom, but if I go in, I go out the back door. Other than our meetings with the other family.
All right, well, now those buildings are all open up.
Yeah, everybody get going.
That's right. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. All right, any old business? New business?
The only thing I would bring up based on what the point of personal privilege the mayor announced earlier in the meeting. Do you guys, what procedure, I mean, do you want to advertise, and if so, when do you want to start? And
So when you say advertise, are you talking about putting an ad in the paper?
that's what some do. Yeah.
Okay. And then if they're interested, they contact you?
You already have an application form to have them fill out. I think I saw in New Ulm, when they just did theirs, they had like 15, 18 applications.
Okay.
So anyone from the community or anyone from the council
Correct.
can put their name in.
Because, yeah, just so that the position is what needs to get replaced, so it's, you can replace it from within or without, but if you replace it from within, then you have to select somebody
For city council.
for that spot.
Okay.
In New Ulm just went through this.
Yeah, we'll do it right now.
Well, they're in the motion.
Mayor.
The mayor. Or you just want to do it, or do it on your own, I guess, it's up to you.
No, I like the idea of advertising for it and have them fill out an application.
You want to do a special meeting then when they come in?
Because then we would all interview them one by one.
Well, but in New Ulm, I think when New Ulm did that, they expected to already get 5, and they got 15 or 17 or something. So then they did a screening committee, or I think I saw it in paper, they're gonna do a screening committee and get rid of some, but,
Yeah.
So what is the acting?
The acting mayor.
Run the meeting until the mayor's
until there's a
appointed.
mayor appointed. But anybody could.
We already appointed you for that, didn't we?
Yep.
Yeah, so whenever, and you can't do this while he's still here. So basically, if he's gonna be gone on June 8th, you could have a meeting anytime after June 8th to review these applications. Or you can just wait till your next meeting and move to appoint somebody, that's fine too.
I guess I'd like to know who's interested in the position.
That's fine. So you can wait, we don't have to have a special meeting, we can just wait until the next meeting. And I can say have the applications in by,
I can say by June 8th.
June 11th, probably. It's up to you.
Either way. But if it was a letter of interest, I'd want a little background on them. Do the interviews that way.
That's fine. Have people submit letters of interest by June 10th, we'll say, and then I'll put them on, see how many we got, and then you can interview them on the 16th.
So you're gonna run it in the paper 2 weeks.
So we have that option or appointing somebody, right?
And even with that option, you can appoint somebody.
Yeah.
You don't have, once you get the applications in, you don't necessarily have to act on, or letters of intent, you don't have to act on them. But yeah, you can appoint, anybody at any time. You don't ever, you could, on July, on that day, you can appoint whoever you want to fill that. But you're filling the position. You have to fill the mayor position, so that the mayor position will not be vacant whenever you make that appointment. First you end up passing a resolution accepting his June 8th, whatever, and opening the position. And once you do that, you could, if you got applications in or whatever, you could fill them all, you could fill the position on the 16th, and then you've got a mayor.
So we can do all that in one night.
You
Okay.
can do that all in one night, so that basically you're up to full staff all the way through.
Yeah, I mean, you could start the meeting at 5:30, and then the first hour or whatever.
So can you do it before?
He's not officially.
No.
No, he's not going.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
You gotta
But we
wait
can
till-
advertise it before the June 8th?
Yeah, I can advertise it, but we can't act on it. So, if that's what you want to do, then I'll just ask for letters of intent. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Then you can decide what you want to do.
And then maybe you check out.
Right. You don't even have to act on it. You just got letters of intent. You know, so that's part of whatever. Okay, you got 1 or 0 or whatever letters of intent, and this is the process we went through, and then you can decide. But at the same, because right now the position that's open is mayor. I mean, so well, and then you're gonna have to go from there. I mean, if you appoint somebody internally, then you're gonna have to open it up again for letters of intent for city council for the next meeting. Sound right? Okay.
All right. Any other new business?
Well, I'll tell you, the people down on South Third Street are very upset.
So is there a lot of water down there? Did you go down there at all?
I went down there, the corner, nothing is making it to the corner. The curb is high, and there's a low spot.
Just as it looked.
Yeah, and on this driveway, in the corner, all running over past the garage.
So there isn't a drain
No.
on the corner?
It's not making it to the drain.
Oh, okay.
And
Well, it's a good thing Chris was here.
Yeah.
were you down? Did he get there?
Oh, yeah.
Still there?
Is he still there?
Oh, okay. It's mud enough, there might be a hole somewhere.
I should have took my laser down there, but I knew on that end, just by looking at it, it was high. I know.
It's still,
Well, they didn't do anything with that part though.
they need to do something.
Yeah, it has to be lowered.
That's why I don't know why. It's so evident, even I can see it now.
No, good thing he was here. Proof positive right there. All right. Any other?
I guess I drive down there, is the street washed out totally now?
There's some washouts throughout the street.
Like your neighbor, Richard Madden, said, sometimes you gotta get on your belly and look once.
Minnesota Street, that's.
I get on my belly and do that.
Street going out to the park by,
MNCS? Oh,
How much rain did you get?
but there was no
Was it coming
tornado?
hard when you were out?
There was no cited.
Oh,
You better stay here,
All right. Okay. Any other new business? Okay.
I have a question. For the ballpark, since that stuff actually belongs to the city, if we want to paint the outside of the concession stand, would the city get the bill for the paint, or would that go elsewhere?
for the Lions concession stand that they run, that the city owns, correct?
Correct.
So is there a request in there to paint it?
We want to paint it.
Okay.
I want to paint it. It's got graffiti on it right now.
Okay.
And if we paint it with the right paint, then if it gets graffiti again, we can actually clean it off. Sure. So it's been brought up that it'd be really nice to do that. It's really ugly the way it is right now. So I'm just curious who would be, because I'm in charge of the concession stand this year, also on the park board. So kind of, lots of balls in there. So just trying to figure out where the bill would go.
And well, and you're gonna paint it, or the lines are gonna paint it?
I am trying to get some kids to paint it under supervision.
And what color are you thinking?
I don't know. I haven't got that far.
How much
Yeah,
paint would it take?
well, I'll be honest, I doubt you're gonna get MNCS kids to paint it on the basis that they're not actually there for the most part. So,
But I could be that as a thing.
You may just get volunteers, yeah.
okay, got
I'm
it.
thinking something neutral like a pale gray, but I'm just curious where the bill would go.
No, more than that for sure.
Probably more like 5%.
'Cause that's,
Well,
that's,
it's cinder block.
yeah, it's soak it
That's
right up.
good
You're gonna
for
go
us.
through a ton of paint. You probably wanna primer it first, honestly, before you even paint it. That's quite a bit of wall there.
Are you repainting the yellow part as well or leaving that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I really just want to do especially the one.
Thank you.
I got one more thing on, when it comes to paint, there've been a few people complaining about the paint that's been peeling off this building, the windows, they need to be scraped and painted. Is there anything in the plan for?
Part of the building facilities committee.
Okay.
I mean, I'm all for letting volunteers paint, beautification, everything else.
I mean, I can put it for the lines to pay for it, I'm just wondering.
For sure. Well, I would think, since you're on the park board, I'd just go through there and let them say, yeah, that looks great, that's a great plan.
Typically, for the last 50 years, since the building's been there, 40 years, Ron has done what Ron has done, and he's just taken care of it, and there's never been, whether it's a city building or not, there's never been a request, and the city's kept their nose out of that Lions building, just like the city keeps their nose out of the Chamber building and the people that are raising funds for doing it, so,
Well, this is new to my bailiwick. Ron is doing less and less this year, and so it's kind of falling in line.
But yeah, I say, he just goes ahead and does it, and either Lions pay for it, or he's submitted as a bill, depending on if it's in city budget or not. I can't see if it's only gonna be 5 gallons of paint, probably can afford 5 gallons of paint, but typically, the city has stayed away from any of those volunteer organizations and let them run what they run.
There you go.
Don't hesitate to come ask for money for things either. Thank you.
All right, any final new business? All right, revised meeting schedule.
June 21st.
Did you guys want to move up that city council meeting in June to like 6 PM to go through those letters?
I think that's a good idea.
What night is that on?
16th.
16th.
You gonna need an hour for the applications or 5?
Depends how many we get.
Maybe
If there's
not.
one or if there's 10.
That's fine. If we start at 6, we just get done earlier, I guess. That's fine.
So can you just put the council meeting, that the council meeting will immediately follow that, and then you can start right away and get
Well,
done.
it wouldn't be a special meeting. We just call the regular meeting will start at 6 o'clock. And then
Okay.
It'll just be your first
Oh,
agenda
gotcha.
item.
Yep.
right, yeah,
Okay.
so just a matter of if it takes longer, it takes
Yep.
longer, so,
So yeah, you guys could go through the letters of intent, interview people, appoint the position, and then that appointed person would just run the meeting at.
They'd get sworn in and everything
Right
that
then.
night.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's how you want to do it. And I just gotta check.
I think you just said it was.
I think it's the Yeah, 21st.
And then Wednesday, the 25th, 26th, I mean, is there a time that both Amy and Janet, that you could be, that I could get those checklists ready for Bruce?
So you need us during the day or
Oh,
evening?
whenever, I guess we'll have to, whenever you say it's gonna fit, it'll fit.
Okay,
I'll,
just so I know if I need to take off work or not.
no, I mean, whatever fits, we'll get Bruce to get it fit in the schedule.
I don't know what your schedule is, Janet.
26th?
Yep. Next Wednesday,
What time are you looking off?
4. I can get off early.
Do you have hour lunch?
We have a chamber meeting that day,
Okay.
so I'm gonna be in Henderson for that anyway, so if we could do it before or after.
I have lunch till 1:30.
Okay. How long is this gonna take us?
It's gonna go through everything, it'll take an hour for sure.
Just do it at 4. Break like that for
What time do you get off work? Oh, let's just do it at 4 then.
Then we'll go in the, you said Randy, makes you no difference in the morning, right?
Anywhere.
Yeah, we'll just do that next morning on Thursday morning, whenever it looks like it's gonna fit, 6 o'clock, 6:30, something like
You
that.
mean for the,
Equipment, yeah.
So the 27th is on to do.
6:30, why don't we say? That okay?
6:30 in the morning?
I don't care.
Yeah, that okay with you?
And that's what date?
7 is fine, yeah, okay, 7, is 7 too late for you?
No.
Okay,
Uh,
That's
was
fine
that
too.
date again?
27, 7 AM,
On May.
May 27th,
Next week.
next Thursday.
And just meet down at the garage.
Yeah, we'll meet down at the garage. And you're still thinking 4 o'clock?
Unless you want to do morning.
Well, I can do morning, it doesn't make me any
6,
difference.
we'd have to do 6:30.
That's 6:30 is fine with me.
It's fine with me.
Fine with me. So 6:30 on the 26th then. of May.
Yeah, then it could be any day, I mean, if you wanted to do the 26th or the 28th, it doesn't bother me.
I'm off on the 20th, I don't know why, but
That's Memorial Weekend. Let's do the 26th.
That's fine. Okay, no problem.
All right.
That's the following weekend.
All right. All right, I'll be looking for a motion on the revised meeting schedule.
Yeah, I'll make that motion. On we send it out.
Yep,
I got a motion, can I get a second?
Second.
Got a motion second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
I did just get a text from Chris, said he met with the residents on Third Street South. Water on the road is trapped in by the curb. It will be resolved when the road is paved, but the residents seem happy. Must still be alive. Yeah.
All right, I'll be looking for a motion to adjourn. Got a motion, get a second?
Second.
Got a motion second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, we're adjourned.
I just want to